All right.
All right, so yeah. So I got to ask you, how did you come across me?
So I've been recruiting now for a year for the National Guard. And when I first started, I came from car sales. So when I first started, I was like, I know nothing about this. I mean, I had the sales background and all that good stuff. But, so I got on Google and I was just typing in, successful tactics of Army recruiters, et cetera, just stuff like that. And I stumbled upon, it's a recruiting, that website, recruitingjournal.com.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw where they talked to you, and I saw you had written a book. To be honest, I actually didn't even pick up the book until probably about a month ago. So I kind of stumbled back upon you because now a year in, I'm like, okay, so I've been doing this a year, and I've kind of had that roller coaster. I'd write some, I'd go cold. I'd write some, I'd go cold. And I'm like, I need to figure this out so I can have a steady year.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I stumbled upon you, is just, searching for a way to become a subject matter expert. And then it's landed me here with you today.
Well, good on you, man, for searching for information. Actually, that's how we get better. So how long have you been in recruiting?
A year. Well, 13 months now.
I tell you, that's how I ended up being, I guess, to what I know today. I did the same thing because I know you went through some type of training, and sometimes that's the basic, that's the building block.
Right.
But when you sit down with a live person, it's a whole new ball game, man. So,
most of that goes out the window when you're in real life. But yeah, I know what you mean.
So good on you, man.
Yeah.
So what other books have you read besides mine?
I haven't really dove into sales books. I'll listen to a lot of podcasts. When I was selling cars, we did a lot of Cardone training.
Okay.
So we do a lot of Grant Cardone stuff. But as far as actually sitting down, opening up paper and flipping pages, I haven't done much of it. Yours, I can say, is probably the first one that I really dove into, and kind of how can I apply this to what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
So I got to ask you, because I'm always curious with people who read the book, what stuck out to you from our book? What did you take from it?
So the thing that I took away, and I'm sure there's a lot more to be taken away, what I took away was, keeping track of your day-to-day. So, you said you had to make, it was either 55 contacts or 55 attempts, to get that one person that wants to come into your office, or you go to them and whatnot. And that's something I don't do. It's something that now I'm going to start implementing, but it's something that I wasn't doing. I wasn't keeping track of, okay, so I need to talk to, 55 people to get that appointment. And then out of that appointment, I need 5 of those before I get one that goes and raises their hand at MEPS. So, I think I took away just, the metrics side of things, keeping track of everything. And that way, where you need to adjust and what doesn't need adjusted, so you're not wasting time.
Right. Okay. Hey, man, you just pointed out one of the most important things, I think. I'd say in the top 5 of that book is tracking, man.
Right.
My favorite saying is one of my favorite sayings, if you can measure it, you can improve it.
I actually just read that this morning. I was just reading about, going through some articles and stuff, and I actually saw where you did an interview, and that was one of the headlines was if you can measure it, you can improve it. And, I think that is huge. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And as long as you keep doing that, man, I'm telling you, you're going to outdistance most recruiters. If you keep improving every day and you notice things and you take note of them and you keep improving.
Right. No, I got you. And I think, a cool thing about what you're doing is recruiting, military recruiting, not corporate recruiting and whatnot, but military recruiting isn't a subject that, I think the sales world and the corporate world, they really look at too much. I've stumbled upon articles and you'll find this and that here and there talking about how difficult it is and whatnot. But, I think to really dive into, because it's a different animal. It's different than, it's different than car sales. It's different than real estate. It's different than all that good stuff. But the core sales part's the same, but there's stuff in our business that is different. So
You
yeah,
pointed out a good point. There was a colonel in Kentucky. He was somebody told him about my book, and he's in charge of all the recruiters in Kentucky. And somebody that works for him like, hey, you need to read this book by this guy Cedric Crumlin. And the colonel was like, I read all those sales books. They don't apply to us. And the guy said, no. This guy was a recruiter. He like, really? So he read my book, and he ended up ordering 150 copies. And he said, now what he does when a new recruiter comes to his battalion, he hands them a copy of my book, and he says, you got 2 weeks to read it. And after 2 weeks, you come back to me, I'm going to quiz you on that book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He invited me to speak to his entire battalion, you know.
Awesome.
And so I'm retired.
Yeah.
And but I still have a heart for recruiters. So I really want to, you know, and that's why we're doing this interview. I'm trying to find out what's going on out there.
Right. And, you know, one thing I did, you know, when we got in contact and we kind of sat down and said, hey, let's do this video conference and whatnot, I reached out to my team. So I have 13 recruiters on my team, and I reached out to them. I said, hey, guys, look, this is what I'm doing. You know, and we're in Indiana, so we all recruit in different demographics. It goes from real, you know, city to rural real fast. So I said, I need you guys to take a minute of your day and just send me things that you run into on a day-to-day basis. You know, common objections, you know, just what are you doing that's successful? What are you doing that or what do you think you need to be doing that you can't do? And so I got a few. Not everybody reached out to me because, you know, I don't know, they're too busy and whatnot. But, you know, if that's something you're open to doing and just kind of, you know, hearing from the streets, I guess, if you will, what's going on right now, I'd love to, you know, just kind of go back and forth on that and see what your views are.
Let's do it, man. I'm all about that.
All right. So one big one was when it comes to prospecting, when you're recruiting, where did you find most success? And you know, I guess you have 3 major areas. You know, you have your phone power, your face-to-face, your area canvassing, social media. Where did you find most success?
So I was fortunate enough that my first, from 2001 to 2007, I did what I consider street recruiting, high schools and Walmart, anybody who's breathing between 17 and 34 years old. But then in 2007, I switched to medical recruiting.
Okay.
And medical recruiting taught me strategy.
Okay.
And when I did what I consider street recruiting, that was basically what I consider tactics. Okay. Right. But now with the strategy, I learned so much about it that I think if a recruiter that's doing what you're doing, if I can teach them the strategy, they would totally dominate their market. Okay. So to answer your question, back when I did your type of recruiting,
right?
What was my best? And it's obvious it was referrals was my best return on investment.
Okay. Yeah.
Now to set up the referral, you actually have to set up the referral process.
Right.
And I kind of wrote in my book, you actually got to nurture people. You know,
the
National Guard do that better than most people. Cause don't you get referrals from your market? You normally
definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, our guys, they're in the recruit sustainment program for, you know, anywhere from 3 months to 12 months and whatnot. And we're in constant contact with them. They become our platoon, if you will. Once we recruit them, they're our soldiers. So, you know, I'll put out, hey, it's your mission to give me 3 names and numbers this week. And, you know, this is kind of your introduction to the Army. So you don't fail missions. You know, if I gave you a mission, you're going to complete your mission. And yeah, typically, you know, and I'm starting to get that now. Whereas, you know, when you're starting off, you don't necessarily have that base to work off of. But yeah, no, referrals are becoming more and more important in my funnel.
Okay. Now, besides that, it was maybe I got a top 4, I think. So besides referrals, the next one would be, do you still get the SASVAB list?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. So I use the SASVAB list different than most people, because most people are going to pick up the phone and call. right?
Yep.
Because the SANS valid list will actually tell you who's interested in the military.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as soon as I got that thing in my hand, I went straight into the house.
Okay.
Straight house call. Just cold call and pick out of them, right? Because they put on the paperwork they want military. So what am I calling for?
Right.
So I show up at your house, I sit down with you, you join.
Right. You're already interested.
Yeah. So it made no sense to call. So I just started showing up at the house. And my enlistments went up. Okay. So that's what I did. And then once, because you know they're labeled, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have like service to country or whatever the code is that they put on it.
Yeah.
Then you got the one, those are the first houses I went to.
Okay.
Then I went to the other houses that might have put, I guess they put, want to go to college or something. Then I went to
like 2 years. Okay.
Well, I picked some of those up. Because even if somebody puts college, they just putting stuff. They don't know.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And I just show up and I got, and my listings went up for that, right? So you got referrals, then you SANS valid list. Second one, that was, man, I loved it. Now, there's, you know, I don't know, for the regular Army and reserves, it's goarmy.com. What's your website? What's your national?
Nationalguard.com.
Nationalguard.com. So, in nationalguard.com, they're gathering leads, right?
Right.
And so I learned the different codes that were hot prospects, right? Because I'm pretty sure there's a drop down in whatever, right? Yeah,
so they'll send them to us and it comes in as a hot lead. Like if they got on the internet and they requested more information, it comes to our zip code based off of what they put in as their zip code, and it comes in as a hot lead. And those,
And some of those are probably garbage, right?
Right, yeah. People that didn't mean to put their name in or whatever, and
So what I used to do, I figured out which ones were not garbage. Because there are certain codes where it looks like somebody actually took the time to talk to this person.
Right.
But it takes time to figure out those codes. So what I did, once I figured this out, and I just stuck to this one code, and I just put this code in, because you know you can sort it out by, you know, you can put the code in, then it shortens your drop down, right? Can't you do that? Can't you sort?
Our system may be a little different. There's a way to sort it. I'm not sure that I've done it, but keep going, and if I'll search for it next time I'm in my in my database.
So I can't remember the code, but what I used to do, man, I stayed on my laptop like white on rice, because you want to be the first person to contact that person, because some other recruiter would contact it, right?
Right. So
I stayed in my box, and one particular instance, I called the guy. Yeah. And he said, I'm at work, and I can't talk to you right now, you know, but I said, you fill out his form, so you're interested in the Army. He said, I'm interested, but I'm at work right now. So I said, well, what time do you get off work? What time you normally get at home? He said around 5 p.m. I said, okay, I'll call you back at 5 p.m. And I noticed I said, I'll call you back at 5 p.m.
Right.
At 5 p.m. I was at his house, right? So I showed up at his house. Dude joined the Army the next day, right? That was back when we do the fast contracts, right? But the point is, if somebody tells you that they're going to be home and you know they fill out this form, and that's a hot lead. Yeah. Don't call the guy at 5 p.m. Take your butt to the house.
And be there. Yeah.
And be there. The hardest thing to get rid of is a body. So you show your, because if you show up at 5, he probably would have said, man, I just got home. I'm tired. Let's talk about it later. No, because they get cold. They're hot. Just show up at the house. Listen, a lot of recruiters are scared to go to the house, but I've done it plenty of times. I haven't been shot yet, right? So I've been cursed out a lot.
Yeah.
I've gotten that. To me, that's how I got my enlistments.
So that sounds like a common. This sounds like a common thing with what you did was maybe skipped over that that phone call because it gives them an out. They can hang the phone up, and you're not in front of them. But I think you actually did say that in your book as well. That if you're at their door, it's hard to get rid of a body. They're not gonna. It's a lot harder to do that than to hang the phone up. So yeah, I mean, and that's something you said most recruiters are kind of scared to do that. And I think I fall into that. I fall into that because, yeah, I think I find comfort in the phone because of that disconnect. But that disconnect is what is potentially holding me back from getting enlistments.
Yeah. Now, today, because I've learned more about marketing, I do things different.
Right.
However, if somebody fill out the form, they saying I'm in there. It's like there's a term in the marketing world called permission marketing. Okay. It's when you raise your hand for something, you're inviting someone to come sell you. Okay.
Right.
So they're giving you permission to sell them. Right.
Gotcha.
So when somebody fills out a form requesting information, they're giving you permission to sell them. Okay. Now in my book, now let's move to the AMED side, the medical side. So to recruit doctors is hard, man. Doctors, medical students, dude, they hard. Most recruiters can't do it.
Yeah.
However, I was very successful at it. So when I was in Iowa, and now that question, it depends on also what market you're in. Okay. So when I was recruiting in Des Moines, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska, that type of recruiting is different than recruiting in Texas.
Houston. Yeah.
In Houston. So I had to change my strategy. So in Nebraska and Iowa, the schools are very expensive. So I simply sent out emails and mail outs, and I told them how much we could pay for your college, and that got them to sit down with me. Well, I tried that same strategy when I came back to Texas, and I said, hey, I'll pay for your medical school, and nobody responded, right? It was like, so I'm used to winning, and I was scared to death. And the thing that saved me is I started talking to medical students in Texas. So you have to talk to your market, right?
Yeah.
And I found out the appeal to pay for your college medical school in Texas doesn't work because Texas had the cheapest medical schools in the country. So I said, and I started learning, but in Texas, people are very patriotic. Their dad probably served, or their granddad probably served, right? So I got that data, right? Then the next thing I did, I sent out an email. Now, it takes a little huckster to do what I did, but I sent out an email because you get a list, right?
Yeah.
So I sent out an email because I thought medical students were just greedy people. They just wanted money. So I sent out an email and I said something about get all the money your greedy little hearts want. You can, get rich. And I'm just talking about money. Dude, I got angry emails back. It's not anger, though. Anger is good.
Emotion.
Yeah, emotion.
Yeah.
Right? When people are angry, they tell you the truth. They tell you what's coming from their heart. This medical student responded to me and said, listen, I don't know. You obviously do not understand medical students because we're not greedy. Some of us actually want to travel the country. She started naming all this stuff that she wants. Right? Check this out. So I took her email, her own words, and I made a new email using her own words. That was the best email I ever written. And that's the email I put in my book. That's where the email comes from. And that put a lot of people in the Army. Okay. Whenever you get one that's angry, right? Most of them feel the same way. So I created a communication that talked to the entire medical student population in the state of Texas, right? And that's how I was able to get a lot of students. Now, if you look at if you go back in my book and you read that email, you'll notice it offers a free report. Okay. So that free report, when somebody replies to me, because here's the thing. If you ask somebody to join the Army, they're probably going to say no. But if you tell them, hey, how about I give you a free report on whatever product the National Guard has, a free report on, I don't know, what product?
Tuition.
On what? Tuition, yeah. A free report on how the National Guard will help you pay your tuition assistance.
Yeah.
That student replies and says, yes, send me that free report. They're raising their hand.
Okay.
More information. Permission. They give you permission. Okay. Once I figured that out, recruiting got a lot easier for me. Because you forget about the people who did not respond. Just forget about them. They're not interested. They don't want what you got. you save time by not talking to those people that you send information out. They didn't reply, and they said, take me off your list. Stop emailing me. Forget about them. Go after the hot people who want more information for you. That's how I increase my numbers.
Okay. Let me see here. I got a list here. I can't remember all of them, so I printed them here. So outside of the AMED field, I guess, so when you were a street recruiter, which market was your most successful? So, prior service, high schools, workforce. Where did you find it?
I got more. Trying to remember. It was different methods I used. It was, and people going to college would be upset with me. But one of the easiest people that I found were those going to college the first semester between October and December, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy easy, man. If you wait till October and December, I think everybody's plan would be find out what's the battle rhythm of your college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in Houston, Texas, there's a school. It used to be North Harris, but today it's Lone Star College. So at this community college, at I think like 12 noon, they're changing classes, and people are going to school, leaving school, going to school, leaving school, right? 1200, right? Then again at 1800. So what I used to do is I used to park my car at one end of at the far end of the parking lot.
Okay.
12 noon. I made sure I was there at 12 noon. And what I did was I got out my car with a fist full of business cards, right?
Yeah.
And I learned this term called third person prospecting from a first sergeant. And what I used to do was, since there was so much traffic, people walking, I used to hand my business card to somebody, and I wouldn't ask them to join. I would just say, hey, get this card to a friend that might be thinking about joining the Army. And I did it all the way I got to like the lunchroom. Well, at least 1 to 3 students would stop and say, you know what, I've been thinking about this. And one person, he stopped and said, you know what, I don't like this school anyway, man. Can we talk? I got a lot of that. So I would say the college market doing that. Okay. I got a lot of college students. Well, they were going to college, but the first semester they find out this ain't for me.
Right.
Put a lot of students in like that. So it would probably be the first semester college students I love.
So right about now.
Yeah.
Right about now.
Yeah. I love them.
Yeah. Okay. So colleges.
First semester.
First semester.
Yeah.
One big one. One guy from my team sent me multiple questions that kind of fell in the same line of things. Is this generation now. Yeah. So maybe this isn't something that you can speak on as far as when you were recruiting, because what you were 2000, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So I think that generation.
Let me plug up my computer real quick. I'm about to lose my juice.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So, I think we're in a generation of the service to country things kind of falling off. When I joined in 2007, I think September 11th was still like a motivating factor because we were old enough to remember it. Well, now these high school kids that I talk to were like 2 years old when it happened. So to them, it's a history book lesson. So basically what I'm getting to is, a lot of times you run into like, oh, I don't need the military, I'm going to college. Or, oh, I don't want to, I've been told like, I don't want to fight for this country. But like there's shame in the country right now. And then parents too of this generation, like, I think this is something we ran into probably in recruiting forever, but parents saying, hey, I don't want my son to join because he's not going to war. So I guess these are more objections, but kind of, the population we're working with is how would you, whether it be with your sales experience, not necessarily recruiting, but how would you deal with just a generation that does not have that drive to serve? Not as many of them.
So I'll say this. Yes, there are some things different about the generation. However, the objections you named are the same objections we faced back in 2001, especially 2001. That's when the war was, 2003. That was big time. I don't want my son to go to war.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things, I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you some things on social media.
Yeah.
So even though I'm out, I still communicate with the generation you're recruiting.
Gotcha.
And I communicate with them through social media.
Okay.
I even interviewed a young lady based on social media. We didn't even talk on the phone. It was basically, we set the whole interview up through social media. No phone call, just straight back and forth. Instagram, messages on Instagram, messages on Twitter. And, it takes a little while to teach how that works. Another example, there's a young man, he's in Dallas now. I was in Kentucky, and at the time he was in Nashville, but I met him when I was in Texas.
Okay.
So he ended up going to Nashville because he was in a residency program. Well, he contacts me, sends me a text. Dude, we set up an entire meeting where I'm going to meet him in Nashville, strictly text, no phone call. Like,
really?
It was weird to me, but if that's what he wanted to communicate, I'm all for it. So he tells me where to meet him at, the time, what time to be there, and how to, go from Kentucky down to Nashville, all text, no phone call, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, so this is how they communicate, Yeah. And so I learned with the generation you're dealing with, text and social media is their form of communication.
Right.
Now, you mentioned something about people not wanting to join the Army. Now, I was searching last night because matter of fact, I'm teaching at something that I use on social media. I'll show you something real quick.
Okay.
I don't know how much time we got, but I'm teaching something real quick about social media and about this generation. So social media and generation you're dealing with, it's all about listening more than talking. Listen to them. Because most people aren't listening to them. Most people just talk down to that generation. I read all kind of articles about millennials are lazy and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Millennials are angry, okay? Yeah. People that are not in their generation, people don't understand them, okay? And most time, people are down on what they're not up on, okay? Right. So their generation, for one, they want to be listened to. So I'll show you something real quick. Let me show you share my screen.
All right.
Okay, share screen. Okay, so you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to Twitter. I'll show you something real quick. There's a strategic way that you can use Twitter. And now they may not be in your area, but it's a great way to pay attention and listen to your market. Okay, so you go to search Twitter, right? You see that?
Yeah.
So just type in good Army recruiter. Now check out what pops up, right? Okay, hold on. Let me find one that I saw. And some of them are talking about recruiters, but I saw one that said, anybody know a good genuine Army recruiter in the Raleigh area? See that?
Really? Yeah.
How you go to search. So you play with this search bar. Okay. And I used to do this. And another thing you do, you might find somebody in your area, who knows, but like I go back to listening, right? And let me close that. So that was real quick.
Yeah.
So that's back to listening to your market, right?
Okay.
The best thing about this generation that you're recruiting, they put all their business on social media.
Yeah, everything.
You can learn a lot about that generation just by going to social media, typing certain keywords, listen to the conversation. Don't go on there, because there's some recruiters I see, all they do is say, join the Army, here's my number. Right. Come on, man, that's spam. Right? Just go on there, and the best thing to do, because what I started doing, the medical side of the house has this thing called HPSP, Health Professional Scholarship Program. I used to type in HPSP in the search bar, and there were students on there saying, hey, man, what's HPSP, Health Professional Scholarship Program? And I went on there, and all I did was, well, HPSP is blah, blah, blah. And then some would say, how much do they pay? And I hit respond. I say, well, this is how much they pay. I never tried to sell them. What I found out was, even today, a lot of medical students and doctors are following me on social media. If you're on social media, just be helpful. Don't go on there. It's not about it. social media is like being at a cocktail party.
Okay.
You know, the scammy guy that goes want to hand his business card to everybody. Everybody avoids that guy. Well, that's what's happening on social media when recruiters are on there saying, join the army, here's my number. That's the guy at the cocktail party that's annoying.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. But if you're in there, you listen to the conversation, people ask a question, say, oh, I know the answer to that question if you'd like me to answer for you. Or you just hit reply, okay? So,
So it sounds like you use it less as a recruiting platform and more of almost a rapport building platform, kind of. I mean, listening, the phrase dump trucking in interviews and stuff like that. You're avoiding that by using social media as a just gathering information, almost an intel gathering thing.
Boom, intel.
And
that's intel right there.
Okay. I think that's, I think once again, I'm learning something here because I think I use social media, whether it's posting a flyer on there and being like, whatever. And it may not be directly join the National Guard, but it's something aged at selling the Guard. Whereas if I toned it back a little and used it more as a provide information to those that are looking for it and then just listen, it sounds like there might be some more success to be found.
The more you listen, the more you build trust.
Right. Okay. I don't know how much time we have left. I don't know.
I think we got about 20 minutes on this program I think. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to find, one second here.
This is great, man.
I guess I won't go off the paper, but I'll just go into things I run into. And, one thing with me and a thing with a lot of recruiters, we do our battalion trainings and stuff like that where they kind of talk about, and it seems like they go over the same thing every time. And it's the same thing you heard at recruiting school. And it's not necessarily new stuff. So, and it's not on the street kind of stuff. But, one thing I run into and talking to other recruiters on my team, something I think we all run into is, so once you have an appointment and you get a commitment, a yes, I want to join, you start building up their information in the system and whatnot, getting all their stuff. And then for whatever reason, time runs out, they have to go home. Going back to this generation, it seems like there is they don't have that discipline to be like, okay, I had to leave yesterday. I'm gonna get a hold of them, get my stuff. Even if you tell them to, they're still not, I guess that that timeliness. There's no, that discipline and that, okay, I know he said I need to get my birth certificate. And then 3 weeks later, I haven't heard from the guy. I've tried calling, doesn't answer. And I call and he's like, oh no, I still haven't got my birth certificate. Like, how did you overcome, I guess,
so
how did you go from recruiter to sergeant? You know what I mean? That just
I only put my sergeant hat on when there was a danger of a student not graduating high school.
Okay.
And or something like that. When that hat had to be put on. But for the most part, what I learned, and I dealt with that's not just this generation. I've dealt with that since 2001.
Yeah.
But what I learned was constant communication, even though it was aggravating. Even today, there are a lot of tools to send constant reminders. Kind of like, you got a reminder about this interview today.
Yeah.
Calendar. So constant reminders. Yes, it is time consuming, but you'll probably find that they're getting stuff to you. And I know, and listen, I don't want to bash command, but sometimes, you might, because I've heard people say, don't babysit them. They know they're supposed to get it to you. Well, who's the one that needs it? So we need to document, take the time to remind that person,
Okay.
Different methods.
And I think part of that, and at least on my side, I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I assume that, human nature, we don't want to be annoying with our, I call you and then I text you later and then I shoot you an email later. I hit you up on Facebook. I think we view that as recruiters, I think in our mind, we're like, could I lose this person by being on them too much to where they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm good.
And I
think
I used to think that. And I felt the same thing. But I found out the people that want to join, you can't bug them enough. There's nothing you can do to them. I used to write people once a week, right?
Yeah.
With note cards. And I just ramped it up. Matter of fact, I got to the point where I was contacting people once a day. And I thought they would say, dude, you're nuts. I'm not joining. But one guy came back and said, Crumley, I appreciate your constant reminders. Here's what happens, okay? Especially if somebody is in school. They got a lot on their mind, okay? Right. A lot of people are overloaded. And the constant reminder, a lot of people said, Crumley, thank you, man. You know, and I was like, I thought I was bugging him. But he was, thank you. And one person even gave me a referral. And he said, here's my friend number. Bug him, Crumley, you know? Yeah. So listen, what is it? You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe plays along the lines of, you know, getting over that fear of just showing up at the house, you know, the preconceived notion that, or what I'm assuming that they're going to feel. So yeah, no, that's good. That's good information to have. And, you know,
can I say one more thing? Listen, I got my ID. I took my wife to get her, now that I'm retired, we all have to get new ID cards. So I took my wife to get her new ID card. There was a Navy recruiter there. He's actually the top Navy recruiter in the country. He's a go-getter. And he said something, and I said, man, you get it. He said, Crumley, I look at my job as helping people. He said, that's all I'm doing. And I said, man, you get it. Once you understand, listen, if you have something that can help people, and if you do, your National Guard can help people, I think you have an obligation to present it to as many people as possible. You have the power to change people's lives, man.
Right. Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Their lives and family lives, okay? Yeah. So you have an obligation to make sure they get that information. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the way that's put. You know, I think that covers most of my side of things. Yeah. You know, as far as kind of, you know, in your book you put, and I'm not going to word it correctly, so forgive me, but, you know, just never stop learning, you know, reading books, doing all that stuff. What other advice would you have for a street recruiter, production recruiter, to just, you know, make their business more consistent? Because that roller coaster 1, 2, 1, 2, 0, 1, you know, you don't want that, and it's stress. And
the best advice I can give you, I gave it to a young lady, and now she called me the other day. She told me she's one of the top Army Reserve recruiters. The best advice is never let a lead get away. Okay.
Never let it. Okay.
Stay in constant contact. Always. Because you never know, especially somebody that's qualified that says no today. Listen, somebody that says no today could have a significant emotional event a year from now.
Yes. Yeah.
I wrote in my book how I put in 5 people in 1 week. I haven't met one recruiter that's put in 5 people in 1 week. But the only way I did that was constant following up. Now, I did not meet all those people in that week. At least 2, maybe 3, I met a couple months prior. They just happened to drop in 1 week.
Right. Okay.
Like I said in that book, I didn't want to put the 5th person in because I was wore out. If you process 5 people and 4 people in 1 week, you are darn dead, right?
Yeah.
That was a lot of trips to the MEPS. Can you imagine going to the MEPS every single day? I mean, it makes you look good, but I was wore out. And I didn't want to put anybody in, but my boss called me like, Crumley, can you put 1 more? I'm like, dude, I gave you 4 in one week. Right. And so he like, hey, Crumley, I know you got 1 more. And I'm like, cool. So I dropped him another one on Friday, right?
Yeah.
But I was, you know how we do. I wanted to hold him for the next month.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know? So, but that's the only way that it happened. And yes, you do want to have a constant contract dropping, and the only way to do that is to follow up.
Okay, so follow up is the key.
Now I found a new tool that I wish I knew about. It's called MailChimp. But we got to do another call and we can go through that. A certain way to use this tool, and it's actually free.
Okay.
Up to 2,500 subscribers. But I tell you what we can do. If your team has questions, we can schedule a call like this, and we can actually have your team on it. or whoever wants to get on the call, and they all can ask me questions. We can schedule.
I think that'd be awesome. Fortunately, we got a 4-day pass, so because we're over mission this month. So, but when we get back, I'm gonna, pass that up my leadership, and our leadership is very open to new ideas and kind of, which isn't common in the military as a whole, but they're very open to new ideas and kind of going outside the box. So I think it's something they'd be very receptive to. So yeah, I would definitely like to make that happen as long as I can have it on my side, but as long as you're okay with that. But yeah, definitely, most definitely.
Tell you what, we'll go ahead and end this call. What I'm gonna share this with my friends. I'm pretty sure they got similar questions, and let's schedule that future call with your team.
Awesome. Hey, Mr. Crumley, I appreciate your time, taking the time out to set this up. I know you're a busy man, and just kind of, sharing your story. Your book is kind of, it's a unique story, but I think it's the story of a lot of recruiters' lives. Now yours got to a point of, despair, and you overcame it. So anytime I get to sit and talk to somebody like you, especially someone in my field, and just be able to say, hey, here's how I fixed it. Here's how I got where I am. I always take something away, and I appreciate that. And thank you.
All right. Appreciate you, man, for what you do, brother. Keep it up.
All right. I appreciate it. And you have a good holiday.
You too. Merry Christmas. All right.
Merry Christmas. Take care.